and gentlemen, we are live on Twitch. Get this timer started. I was horrible right there about keeping a consistent distance from the mics, but you know what, ladies and gentlemen, we're not fucking experts here.
Microphone
I'm here to
social
talk.
distancing.
At some point, I'm not here to do hardware no more because I have the takes. I don't have what it takes to be a hardware man. Although, we'll work our hardest to get there. Ladies and gentlemen, off the bat, yes. All right, we are on Twitch. I'm going to make sure I share this.
We are live.
So, it's been a couple weeks. We've just had a lot of stuff going on lately, and there's been a lot of crazy stuff with work and blah, blah, blah. I don't even think I've said this yet, but my company has like a forced furlough. We all have to take 1 week just to save payroll overall, and so I'm taking that next week. It'll be a fun, like, honestly, paid vacation. I think after you end up filing for employment and going through all that, I think I'm actually going to end up making like a few $100 more than I would. So that's interesting because I saw like a news story or two, and then a big conservative talking point against unemployment and welfare is that a lot of people have been realizing how much they've been making on that versus what they make normally. And I don't know how all that works out. I haven't even looked into it that much on my own, but it's pretty crazy. I guess what I was starting to talk about there was we've basically been trying to figure out how we want to get more content, and we're going to start splitting these up in that we release our first kind of news, the hard
2 segments.
The hard news, yeah. And, I mean, if we do end up going longer and longer over time, we make it 3-4 segments. But we're kind of going for like 30 minutes. We haven't, 20 to 30 minutes. The first segment's going to be news, a lot of our stats, blah, blah, blah. Right now, that's going to be coronavirus stats, and then all of the headlines, national, worldwide, and Texas. We've been talking about how we focus a lot on DFW, obviously, because that's where we live, and that's where we're going to focus most of our efforts. But I've been trying to share a lot more Oklahoma news and stuff. I feel like that's our demographic too. I mean, and it just helps push out some content.
Go Pokes, Boomer Sooner, all that, you know.
Beyond that, I guess, kind of funny, guys. We're trying to get everything going stream-wise, and so we already did like that intro up to here one time, and we realized it was doing a bandwidth test.
So basically, we were testing our internet, even though it said we were live, so nothing was actually recording. Thankfully, we only did 2 minutes worth of audio
before he caught it. Shout out to you for that, though, because I didn't notice until you said that, and then it didn't say. Whenever you're on OBS and you're streaming or recording, it says play streaming and play recording or start recording, whatever. And then when you toggle those, obviously it's going to say stop both of those. And only stop streaming was the option. It hadn't recorded yet, which is funny. I know we've done those settings before. I guess at some point it just toggled off. I think it was last time we tested and it just failed. And then we tried to do it on this laptop just to have another vantage point, but Facebook Live sucks.
We've tried Facebook Live before, and it says that we're live the entire time, and nothing is recording. So now we are on Twitch. We are doing it on my my normal streaming. This isn't my main platform. I stream on Ahmaud Arcade, but shout out to Twitch for letting us use you guys.
I'm hosting right now. So
there we go. Cool. We're hosting with Matt. We're going to be trying to start streaming on Twitch. We'll probably make a different account so those that want to watch me play video games won't have to also watch me podcast. Or if you do, come check out the new channel once it's made.
Yeah, definitely. No, for sure. Before I lose this point and forget, how about we just run and tell them a little bit of what's going to be in part 1 and 2?
Yeah.
And then you can generally expect stuff like that. But as always, we hit things out of order sometimes. I write pretty elaborate scripts just so we never have like a dead moment. I just did my first podcast with a buddy, Hunter, who we both know, Hunter Gone Back. He was on an early episode for us. That for us, though, is much less scripted, funny. This is actually what most of our episode was. The biggest world events that happened since the first Avatar, because the second one's supposed to come out next year. And so we just went all the way from 2009 through all of that, blah, blah, blah. Twitch,
2009?
Interesting. Amazon bought Twitch in 2012. It's already been 8 years. Crazy, huh?
I feel like Amazon bought them maybe like 3 years ago.
Oh, there's so many things on there that... Like, 2018 was when Jake Paul did that dumbass shit videoing the body in the suicide forest in Japan. Only 2 years ago. That's mind-blowing. That didn't even make sense.
I thought that would derail him a bit, and it seemed like nothing happened. Like,
well, he definitely got a slap on the wrist because, also, a lot of his viewers know that he's like just a fucker.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
what's
the
crazy is
reason my
the
little
young
brother
kids.
watches them.
Folks, we have sour Trulies today. I don't know what they're actually called. Lemonade hard seltzer. That's
Strawberry lemonade. Oh,
sorry to my girlfriend because she loves these. I'm joking. We have so many. Oh shit! That bit was supposed to bring me to this point.
Oh, here we
go. And I fucked it up. But this is some moonshine. We're gonna try and have some fun with this today. One of our.
Looks like actually, Louisville lake water.
I was gonna say one of our friends when we used to live at the apartment, but I couldn't tell you who gave it to us. But my girlfriend's a leasing agent there, and one of our couple friends gave it to us. I wish I could remember, and I'll figure that out. But ideally, that's good. And if it's opened, it needs to be less than 6 months, so we should be good there because I don't think we've opened it.
Okay.
And B, I mean, I moved to this house, 2.5, 3 months ago? So
yeah.
It hasn't been that long.
I mean, we've survived.
Trust me, alcohol doesn't sit around that long.
We have survived coronavirus. I think we can survive some Lake Louisville looking moonshine water over here. So
all right, we are talkative today. So in part one right now, what you're watching, our main segments are going to be biggest stories of the week. We're going to hit coronavirus stats, biggest nationwide story or two, general news, then our Dallas news, basically. Maybe we'll try and throw in a few...
Hometown.
We should more so say DFW, but generally the only news I get from Fort Worth is the Star Telegram. And, I mean, I follow them a little, so I'll try and start throwing their stuff in here more so. But then part two, that's the news. Yeah, like he said, coronavirus stats are just a big thing. I've just been... doing that as my Facebook media thing every day because just to drive some traffic. I was thinking I've been home for a while and I was like, all right, why not spend all this time you don't have to commute and stuff just being productive or trying to get something in the works. Yeah. And so I've been trying to just, content manage and see how much audience we can get just seeing that shit. Because I'm basically just trying to do that with as many different wait, so yeah, let's keep streaming. So an issue with the recording. So what can we do with just pulling it off Twitch?
So for those that are wondering what just happened, we just ran out of disk space. So we are going to share this next time on Twitch, stream it live. It'll get saved to Twitch, and then we can go back and reshare it as a second video. So our second video is actually going to be reposted immediately. That way we can have both of them on the computer, or at least on Twitch.
So how should we handle this? Should we keep running this on that?
Yes.
And finish this? Okay, yeah, sorry. I wasn't listening at all to that. So we'll finish this, and then we'll figure out a way to do it with that. And then basically all I have to do is change where it's saving this video. And I literally meant to do that right before this one because the C drive is so full. I've been throwing everything on my data drive. Yeah. But here, let me share this real quick. We can... Actually, before I do that, I'll hit real quick on... So part two, we'll get that out relatively quickly, too, because we're doing it all today. We're going to hit on some presidential race updates. Like I said, on-the-ground issue coverage where we covered global warming and the...
Microplastics in the ocean. How you're eating plastic every time you eat a fish that's saltwater. So that's always nice.
I'm not sure we're going to have that this week, but we might throw something in there. And then something that's kind of beefed up this week for us is the Pop Sports Minute. There's a lot of talk about getting back to things.
Your Dallas Cowboys are looking good. We talked about it last time, but CeeDee Lamb's about to lead us to the Super Bowl.
Dude, I mean, God, that's crazy, man. Yeah.
We have the best wide receiver core in the NFL.
Definitely have some good stuff to talk about today. Also, one point that Alec made that was pretty solid. I guess it was a Ben Shapiro point originally, but why do the Lakers get to open their gym when nobody else gets to open in LA? I also added we can spin off into some Elon Musk talk.
Yes.
There's been some crazy shit since then.
Shout out Elon. I tweeted you a while back.
Yeah. And so... That's basically it. We have our little bit, as you guys know, gaffes of the week. We'll hit on a few things. I don't know. I feel like maybe a little bad for narking on Biden so much because he's just been the man of the gaff lately.
Oh, he is.
And we'll link that into the point and talk a little bit about it later, if not now. He just, we'll save it for later. But basically, it's kind of crazy to watch somebody with, I don't know if saying mental capacity is a little bit belittling. But
it's not when he talks about Trump being a narcissistic child. So I mean, you can literally basically say anything you want because they throw the same way. They throw the same shade. So,
jeez, dude. So
While
I'm
he's
sharing
doing
this
that,
real quick.
we're going to start looking at
We'll click on
Europe sees
Chrome.
2 deaths, multiple cases of COVID-linked, aka coronavirus, in children. So we're about to open up that link right now. As you guys see, that is our script that Matt, like he said, works so hard on. He is our script writer, and he is a genius at it. So if anyone is hiring a great script writer, this guy is your guy.
Hey man, yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love to do that. I'm working up to get to like that kind of thing where there's a lot of content needing to be made. Why am I blanking on where we were? All right, here we go. So we are at Newsbreak, ladies and gentlemen, and if you want to see this every morning, I post it. It's basically just 8 screenshots of global through U.S. down to Texas, and
Yeah.
I normally share like the Dallas stats. I always struggle with that because we don't even live in Dallas County, but I think for news sake, that's probably the bulk of what. It's also the leader,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, here, hit on these numbers real quick, and I'm going to make sure that I share these.
Yeah, so United States, we now have 1,487,684 confirmed. That is a total of plus 11,524 since yesterday. And you're going to see the numbers of confirmed cases going up with all these states reopening. And it shouldn't be something that the public should necessarily be scared about, because if you've been watching the antibody testing, there's actually been, like, in most states, I think it was like Arizona's one we talked about last time, there was like a 25-time increase when the antibody test was done. Like, all these people really had it, but only out of the 25, only one of those actually had it. So it's like, or like showed symptoms of it. So it's like, it's going to be bad. You're going to see a lot of confirmed cases, but it's not going to be, as the death count shows right there, 88,864. The numbers aren't going to increase in death count dramatically as the confirmed cases go up. And that's just my personal belief. But we will see as time shows. And we're going to talk about later how in Georgia and Florida, they're doing very well, in Tennessee also right now, with reopening their states completely, and the numbers are actually going down for confirmed cases, and the death rate is continuing to go down. So I think you're going to see that in most of the country, maybe minus some cities like New York City, LA, where it's still just so busy and so packed with people. If you live relatively in the rural areas of America, like most Americans do, you're not going to have to worry about coronavirus, I think, for much longer, and that's just my personal belief. So we're going to start looking over what we talked about before with Europe sees 2 deaths, multiple cases linked in children. So this is basically talking about how, so the coronavirus is now being associated with something else that's being built up as a new virus because of the coronavirus, and now is killing some children over in Europe. So we may see that happen here in the United States as kind of like an off-brand kind of coronavirus, just because the coronavirus is going to do what the flu virus does. When you build a vaccine for it, it's going to basically, like your iPhone, have an update to where it's going to try to change how it affects people, because it's going to try to beat the medicine so it can stay alive. Because if you don't know, a virus is something that is alive, and it tries to morph into your body as your body tries to fight it. So we're just going to scroll down a little bit right here and start showing you guys some of this stuff. As you can see, the face mask, just in case I leave today, I have my face mask in my pocket, always ready to go. Stay strapped, America, with that face mask. So as you can see, the Swedish Space EDC or ECDC has reported that 2 children have succumbed to the condition, one in Britain and one in France. So most likely what's going to happen, you're going to see some more cases over in the UK and in France, where some of these children are now developing these new conditions. And it could have a higher risk, as it says. And then, Matt, I think you had maybe something you wanted to add to this, because I'm basically just reading right off the page.
I was just going to say that, and I might have missed you say a little bit about it, but one thing was that this huge point, and it's still a valid point, that I think it's over 50% of these deaths are happening in nursing homes.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. In some states, it's as high as 90%.
Every statement that's made or every data, everything that's supported by data, people always take that, they extrapolate to like the furthest extreme. And the point was that, no kids and no younger people were in danger. And then you saw that wasn't true at all pretty early with Italy and all these people. And basically how it was dire straits for everybody. It doesn't matter who you were, how old. But granted, when you assess the data, it seems to be like a sub 1% death rate for people who don't have pre-existing conditions and are less than like 70 years old. Yeah. But I mean, it is interesting though, because when I mean, I don't know anything about those kids. Like, do they have, I mean, like, are they struggling with disease? Like, who knows? Like, maybe those kids.
There's not enough information yet.
You really don't know. But at that headline, I would take that to be generally healthy kids. But, people freak out about a lot of things. And you were talking about rounding the corner and kind of like getting better. Yeah. It's weird, though, because that feels a little shaken up with this latest surplus or Corona bill. Spending bill, and I've seen you've seen it, like the end of last week and this week, some turmoil in the market compared to the last 3-4 weeks.
It's been hard investing the last month.
Yeah, it sure fucking has.
Really
but you gotta do it. You gotta do it. Well, that's exactly it, because you can't think about week to week like, oh man, I wish I had hit this low, or I wish I'd hit this low. You need to think about, like, in retrospect, 90 days from now, and be like, oh, I'm glad that I got in that month. You know, like stuff like that. And not that I'm a fucking investor. At some point, we'll have to have my buddy Cole on the show. Ooh, I'm gonna give him a little shout out right here.
Here we go.
I don't even know if like, I don't know. I don't think I'm not allowed to say this, but he has like, maybe I shouldn't say the figure. I was gonna say he celebrated himself like getting to a certain threshold of how many dollars under his personal management.
That's awesome. So he's like a Will Bramlett, right? Because that's what Will does.
Yeah. And so he's a financial manager, and his dad actually has a firm, and so it's McKeel Capital Management, which that's badass. That'd be cool to have. But he basically hit a pretty decent figure for money that he's personally managing and personally brought in. I'm just gonna say it, $1 million, and so that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
I think that's badass because he's our age, and I don't think he fucking cares. He'd if I was him, and if you were a financial planner, you slap that hoe on your resume. Yeah, that's a bullet. That's a bullet point, dude.
That's one of those videos you post on Instagram, or a picture of like you sipping a nice drink in some rooftop bar, and there's like a little caption like feeling like $1 million. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know, make $1 million.
Feeling like $1 million. Hey, for the record, Cole, if you watch this, I said that on Twitch because we're not recording it, and if anybody caught it, it's like probably 4 or 5 people. Unless we just go fucking viral right now.
Yeah, we go viral, and that's different, Cole. Hopefully we do, but we can cut it out if need be.
I don't really think that's sensitive information, considering, all they do is deal with money.
Yeah.
Let's check in. Wait, so let's take that down to, let's look at a few of the... Around Dallas.
Dallas?
Harris is Houston. That took the hell off. But I guess overall it's not that much higher than Dallas at all.
I mean, the thing is, too, 7,000 infected, 164 deaths. And like I talked about before, the antibody test, you're going to see that number increase dramatically. But the death count isn't going to jump dramatically. And it's just... I think we're all ready for this to be over. I think we're all kind of used to sheltering in place at this point, but
so let's talk a little bit about we have a little bit about Texas reopening on here, and then we already talked slightly about Georgia and Florida. I guess not enough, but just Georgia and Florida were getting shit on early on by the leftist talking points, and it turns out now that they've been doing really well. But people immediately upon opening up were griping about, oh, the cases are just shooting up, blah blah blah. We have more and more cases. True, completely true, but
look at the new cases.
But
so low.
The thing is, it's just that was going to happen anyways. No matter when you do that was going to happen, and it's it's not even that great of a point. But people keep saying this thing how long are we supposed to stay closed?
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. A lot of people talk about staying home and being careful and being terrified to go out and all this stuff as if we're living in a vacuum and that there aren't massive, massive issues. And so people keep talking about the early graphs and projections were way wrong. And that's good. And that's because we quarantined. Sure, but the fucking economy...
Yeah,
that is an insane...
Do we want our dollar to be the value of a peso, or do we want to be the world leader for the value of a dollar?
And so we are talking this latest spending bill, and would this be the fourth or third?
I think if it gets passed, it's the third.
Okay,
I believe.
I think there was a fourth at some point that got
shut
nixed, basically, and that could very well happen here.
Yeah,
I'm not totally caught up as of this morning. We talked a little bit about it. My girlfriend said something about it when we woke up, but I don't know point for point what's still in there for this morning and I guess yesterday.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of BS there yesterday. And we'll come back and elaborate on this in maybe the coming weeks, but something about how the Democrats were looping in debt help for certain states, like New York and like some of the bigger...
The ones that have taken the biggest hits, yeah.
Well, and also the point should be made that New York was atrocious with their money management before I knew that. And that is also the case for a few of the other states that are, you know, like, I don't even know what it is besides New York, but actually considering bankruptcy as a...
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what that entails for a government entity and all that kind of stuff. It's interesting, though.
This is just crazy. Like, if you take out New York,
that's
the entire state only has 7,000.
I have a buddy, like, I think he said it on Instagram. He was like, Jesus, man, take out New York. That's crazy. But then you could say that to the same world about America.
Yeah.
Like, the whole world's like, well, if you just take out the United States.
Well, see, like, look at Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a massive city. It only has 1,700 deaths. How does New York have 20,000? Like, they just didn't do the right things.
Population density, right? But then also, we could spin off into the whole Cuomo ordeal that people have been talking about for the next... Well, not that one. The one where... Who was it that brought up the point that his bill about not testing people getting admitted into old folks' homes? That probably killed so many people. And there are some great pieces on that. If I had to guess, I'd say like there's a piece on the National Review, by the National Review too. But that's actually not something we had on the script, so I'll make sure to add that and when I post it in our bio. But it's an interesting conversation nonetheless, because it takes you back to how very, very few people have died or been permanently affected in a serious matter outside of very old folks and people with pre-existing illnesses.
Yeah.
And then
I think that's how it should be around the entire world, but no one really wants to talk about that.
They don't.
Coronavirus.
And we kind of already talked, I think, last episode, just very briefly, those two doctors in that one video, they said, since when do we quarantine the healthy? And that's interesting. You quarantine the old and the people with issues that have compromised immune systems. I don't know, man. Everybody's extremely high-strung about this issue. What are you going to do?
Hopefully, I am going to be able to go back to work in an office and not from home. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to travel again. Those that know me, I love to travel, especially to Hawaii, which is like impossible to travel to right now. So like in the summer, I usually always go to Hawaii. I know me and somebody we had on the show before, Warren Womack, we went to Maui a couple years ago. Warren. Had a lot of fun going to Maui, and I'm trying to go back this summer. But first, I'm trying to go to Nashville, but I can't do that either. Oh, here we go.
Let's see how
the test.
All
right, I'm going to put this in front of the camera.
Are we allowed to do on Twitch?
Yeah. So comment on the section. What lake have you visited that's what it looks like? I think Louisville's a little bit more green than that. I think from over here it looked more green. But
it's the cut behind it.
It's the cut behind it. There we go.
That's funny, though, because it smells a lot better.
It does.
Out of that glass.
So if you missed the first few minutes, this is Moonshine. For those just now joining, this is Moonshine.
It's Moonshine, and we don't know if our lives are in danger or what. It's potentially towing the edge of expiration, but I don't think so because I haven't really opened it. I also poured a very heavy hand.
I was about to say Moonshine is very strong.
Yeah, well,
you drank Moonshine, right?
Yeah. So this is supposed to be like apple cinnamon or apple something, and that is like the only flavor of Moonshine I've ever had. And the only other time I've had Moonshine, I'm pretty sure it's the only other time.
I had Moonshine in Tennessee.
Someone made it in Stillwater.
Yeah, and
it was an older guy that I knew, so it wasn't someone that was like our age making it in a fucking like totally in a bathtub. He totally made it in a bathtub, but it was some good shit. I wish I remember that dude's name.
Shout out to the dude in Irving that got us apple cider moonshine.
Oh no, this guy. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Taste test number 1 in the middle of the podcast.
Let's see.
We are live.
We're 24 minutes in, folks. We had some recording failure at around, 10, 15 minutes, but we're good, and we're still live on Twitch. We're going to have to rip that picture down and do something with it. So we're
Don't
about
mind me.
halfway through our first segment. We're going to be having 2 parts. If you, I'm trying to blend this because we're live. So basically, if you're just tuning in, we normally do just 1 episode a week, but we're going to split them up into 2 parts. When we're done with this first little segment, I guess we're going to stop this stream for a second.
We're going to stop stream, then go live again immediately. So that way it can be separated twice for us to be able to share it to you guys on our Facebook, on YouTube.
My fingertips were literally so close to doing it before we did this video, but I was going to change the destination file for video output. Yeah. Because my C drive, my regular drive is just stuffed full. Ladies and gentlemen, these video files take up so much room.
It's only like, what, 30 gigs? 40 gigs?
Yeah. Shit we could see, but
this is good.
It is really good, man. It tastes
honestly
really, really
I don't
good.
even think it, like, the first time I drank it, I didn't even taste alcohol. And the second time I drank it, I took a bigger sip and I definitely tasted the alcohol.
Walter White. I am the danger. That's Moonshine. If Moonshine could talk.
Say my name.
All right, so I'd say let's hop back onto this and we'll let you guys take a little look-see at the script.
We're going to go back to part 1. Here we go. This is what we're looking at.
Yeah. So we hit some of these. We probably could have been better at calling out some numbers, but we talked about some good specific things, the ones that matter most to us. This is something we could also probably talk a little bit more about, but if you guys pay any attention to mainstream media and sadly, and any national media, it's the only talking point from the conservative side. It's interesting. We could hop into. Let's take a look at what's up with Sweden. I put this in because that's the classic big name. People are like, "Oh, what about Sweden?" Like, blah blah blah. What about Sweden? I'm not sure people like really understand what's going on in Sweden that much. Besides the fact that they didn't lock down. That's all people want to talk about. Stark. Like the thing that was popping at first was how many deaths they had versus confirmed cases. It was astronomically higher than anybody else. Now, this is the point, and I think I want to get your take on it. I don't know, but I feel like they did early on have a lot of deaths in relation to confirmed cases. Granted, that may be what happens when you don't quarantine and flatten the curve just off the get-go. What are the chances a lot of these countries and stuff are just going to get to that point anyways? Like a very similar rate anyways. Most rates, and you know how...
like for a lot of countries with smaller populations in the United States, that's probably what it will look like. I think for us, I don't think we'll actually reach
over to these,
even 1 million deaths.
And I wish they had just a percentage
probably
of...
even 500,000.
A percentage of deaths out of confirmed cases. I don't know also why I don't see... Explain this to me if you're a mathematician, statistician, whatever.
Went to college for math.
Yeah, I mean, like, I would really love somebody who's like actually into like stats that has something to do on the medical side, because why don't people talk about how many deaths there are out of total confirmed cases more? I've seen tons and tons of things, and I've read tons and tons of articles and just takes, and people are always talking about just total affected, blah blah blah. And I'm not sure why the amount of people dying out of who gets tested positive isn't an indicator of, I don't know, something pretty factual, or at least some valuable insight.
Do you really want the answer, Matt?
I do.
Well, if they showed the percentage that's basically you're only going to die at like a 1.3% chance if you get it, then people would probably leave their house and stop freaking out.
The narrative falls apart. I haven't even seen Sweden.
Try doing Control F5.
I always do that. It's just like assumed. I bet,
Sweden. Look at that. Herd mentality. That is what they did, and it clearly worked.
That's crazy. So what? Let's see if I can run that number real quick. That's interesting though, because they're way further down the list than I thought, and these are by. I mean, obviously, folks, you take in the size of the nation, but I mean, Jesus, man. So it seems that like kind of things started a little worse than they ended up. But I mean, obviously, that's how it goes with an exponential.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't really know what's going on. Yeah.
So divided by. So that's interesting. So 12.3. I think when I saw it early on, it was something like 15 to 20.
Yeah.
So it's
12.3% chance you would die in Sweden.
granted,
But they didn't
it's
close.
over double Portugal.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how those populations compare, but their confirmed cases compare. But okay,
imagine
so this is the
Portugal's a bigger
point.
pop.
Check this out. You just compare to comparable confirmed cases, right? That's all you can kind of...
Yeah.
At some point, that's all you can go off of. Qatar, 14 against 28,000. This is 3,500. That, Portugal alone, it's like half of that.
Yeah.
Portugal is very advanced medically, though, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure they have legalized usage of all drugs, and,
Yeah.
and their drug issue as a country is far less bad than, I don't know.
The United States.
You always say like the United States, but everybody compares to the United States. Why? Great country. B, I don't know. It's just on the cutting edge of the progressive world generally. I mean, not in terms of like healthcare and stuff like that, but conversation and dialogue. And what's funny though is like, I guess it could apply to anything. But whenever people from Australia or Canada and stuff are talking about mass gun rights and all this shit, it's like, God, how do you? I don't even know. There's an honest comparison to the U.S. Ideologically, politically, all this shit. Like, what goes into people thinking? Like, what goes into people really wanting to have that right to have a gun? It's completely different than any other country.
Yeah.
And so why would you think that other countries' numbers of mass shootings or something like that would be comparable or indicative of anything in the United States?
Yeah.
It's a melting pot. It's a crazy melting pot.
Yeah.
That's something that, I mean, obviously, what else are you going to compare to? You know, you have to compare to something, and you just don't have a place like the United States. It'd be like Russia with free will. If you're talking...
Russia.
Yeah, I mean... seriously, though.
Russia.
So, yeah, so that's like 12% of people with confirmed cases die. So I point out the error in my ways if I'm messing up. This is a pretty high one.
Yeah.
I don't really know anything about how Ireland handled things. It's pretty high. And you know that, of course, that population density and stuff like that is going to play into a lot of these. Not that I'm have enough knowledge for that. See, Texas since reopening, that was definitely a good point we should hit on. Let's see. Texas cases of COVID-19 increasing by thousands since reopening. Well, yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
Everybody expected that. Everybody always like gets their panties in a bunch about how like, oh my God, what everybody knew is happening now that you guys did what you did.
Yeah.
We were going to reopen no matter what. And I don't know. It's interesting how people like follow along bipartisan lines on this, but generally, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, a lot of people are happy to go back to work.
I could be at home dealing with kids, dog, or I could be at work making money.
Yeah. And like, I mean, it is weird. Like you see on Twitter, I think probably is where you see the point made most often. People like in the country and stuff saying, of course, all these writers and all these media people have these opinions. You know, they're doing fucking Zoom calls to get their media and job done, and it's all these people talking from like, you know. I mean, I'm fully aware that this whole time I've been talking about all this stuff, I've been working from home, and it's been super easy. And so, for a lot of people who aren't impacted at all employment wise, to be talking shit on people who are that want to go back to work, it's just like silly.
Yeah, I mean, like, people got to be able to feed their families. I mean, it's like that lady that was arrested in Dallas for opening up her hair salon, and then everybody...
Granted, that was a fucking ploy. That, like...
It was, but like,
yeah, no,
what she talks
stands.
about, like...
That's why they made... That's why they used
they
that
made
point.
the stand, because, like, those women aren't making money if they can't cut people's hair.
The thing is,
like,
everybody...
they gotta feed their kids.
So many people of the liberal coin were like... Oh, she's fucking lying. Like her kids aren't starving. It's like, well, also, how do you know? A, B, okay, yeah, maybe not. She's the salon owner, but her workers are. And yeah, she was totally grandstanding to make a point. And it was a good point. But who'd we got on the stream?
We got Green Power Ranger. So I'm sending him some meme gifts right now. What was it? It was this little fire basket on fire. Little basket on fire.
All right, so I'll cover this real quick. Texas has seen a steady rise in cases and fatalities. Blah blah blah. It's just over 2 weeks ago. There are now 198 confirmed cases of COVID. That is an increase in 1,347 cases from Thursday to Friday. That's interesting. I think this was posted like 2 or 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
The new numbers have not yet been recorded for Saturday. I don't think that's... Well, yeah, of course it's true. This is... What? Like, they're saying that it was like... Yeah, man. Like 10 a.m., of course. Yesterday, the daily increase was 1,219. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wait, is last Friday yesterday or the Friday preceding? It's the Friday preceding. So... we are up about 1,100 there to there. Not bad. And as we know, more and more people are having it, more and more people seeing each other. Yes, the point that more and more testing is occurring is valid, but also here's what I don't get about that point. People going out and like reintegrating into society are going to spread it regardless. It has nothing. It has nothing to do with testing more people. I understand the numbers are skewed that way.
Why can you go to Walmart? You can go to Lowe's.
That's like my favorite meme right now.
You can go to every major corporationally owned thing, but God forbid we open up this small business. Like, bruh.
Yeah, no, it's the...
Bruh, you go to Walmart every day. I went to Walmart this week. You know how many people I saw wearing a mask in there? Maybe 5.
Dude,
no one in there is wearing a mask anymore. So how are y'all going to complain about it?
I don't.
How are people going to complain about it? It makes no sense. It makes literally no sense.
Yeah, that meme I was saying... It's just all the ones talking about, like, wow, this virus is really smart. It can tell the difference between a Walmart and, like, a church or something like that. Which, I don't know. People losing it about the church point is, like, I think that's a little silly, but you know that's going to happen anyways. Like, people are going to be upset, like, in Florida or whatever, telling everything can be open except for churches, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all the same.
Yeah.
I mean... And especially when you walk into a Walmart, Kroger, or Tom Thumb, wherever, and you see how people are. I've seen so many employees that it just seems like they don't give a shit, but also more so people. Because the employees are at least being forced to. Like at Kroger over here, by Lifetime, there's always like 2 people with masks, like rubbing down, washing off every shopping cart.
Yeah.
And so...
Looks like... I want to call him GPR here. He says that coronavirus being super bad because people can die from it, and good because less pollution. Yeah, we talked about that.
That's interesting.
A couple podcasts ago, because it was like you look at some of these maps of like, or like not maps, but like pictures of Los Angeles and like
L.A., Wuhan. That was a couple months ago.
What's my homeland? Venice. The homeland of Venice, Italy. So, like, they're talking about how there's going to be restrictions on people visiting the city now because no one's ever seen it that clean. They're like, we want to actually keep it like this. So they're going to limit how many people can visit there every year.
Okay, so here's my thought. Yes, I think that's absurd because keep fucking dreaming, you hippies.
Hey, I want to be able to see a dolphin in the water when I'm doing my little boat ride.
Goodwill doesn't pay. Goodwill doesn't pay. And you and I have noticed that because like you can like think and be as open-minded as you want, but at the end of the day, to some degree, it doesn't fucking matter when money pays the bills and people are gonna turn the economy back on. Like we're talking about manufacturing and industrial. They don't give a shit about they don't give a shit about dolphins, dude.
That's what Elon Musk
A lot of them don't. I mean,
Elon on Joe Rogan said things have to be made for things to get bought, and you guys are buying up everything. So what are we gonna do? Are we just gonna stop making things? You like that toilet paper you use that you guys bought 80 packs of at the start of this? We're all running out. Somebody's got to make it. Like,
well, why don't we create some jobs and send that back to people spinning them?
Yeah, right.
That's absurd. Because we're just like, dude, it's like watching episodes of how it's made and how many things are actually just done by machine.
Yeah.
Not that it's surprising at all, but you think about that at scale, how many jobs that takes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Schools may be closed another year. Yes. My siblings' school said they might open late, and that's here in Dallas. That's not 100% or I guess my sister just graduated. I don't know if she's going to OSU, OU, but I guess go Pokes, Boomer Sooner. We'll see what she picks. But yeah, my little brother's high school might be opening late. So I think now we're on the.
We only have a couple more. We have like some general news and then some Dallas news, but just really quickly. Let me see how we're doing on time. Where I think we were doing pretty well, but we're probably about like 35, 30, 40. Okay, so we're going to have to wrap this one up pretty quick, and we'll try and keep them generally consistent lengthwise.
Yeah.
How about we just wrap up with this general news talk, and we'll append this to the next part because, it's just a good way to jump in with Dallas. So real quick, I'm not even sure that Alec and I are the right people to talk about Plandemic, but we can at least say a little bit about it. Like I say that because we didn't watch it. It was that documentary basically with I'm blanking on her name, but I have a couple links. I don't even see them up here. I thought I did. Here they are. We have 2 fact-check links if you guys would like to use them. Basically, they rip apart that documentary. That was just the latest thing. The first documentary that everybody was sharing viral that was counter to the narrative of our government was the 2 doctors from California, blah, blah, blah. Those guys, that's kind of a whole separate issue because they owned a bunch of, I think it was Rapid Meds, and everybody's talking about how they were just, unfairly influencing people and blah, blah, blah. And those guys, those 2 doctors had some pretty big entities come out and oppose what they were saying, call them not factual. So that's interesting. Then the second one, it's kind of, I suppose, a little more conspiracy seeming. It's called Plandemic. And basically this chick, Dr. Judy Mikovits.
Dr. Judy Mikovits.
They talk about all of these things, and one of these had...
Can we just talk about that picture for a second? Is she like... She looks like a little...
That's how she looks all the time. It kind of looks like Trump as a chick.
Trump as a chick without being dropped in a Cheeto bag and shook up. That's what it looks like.
But so basically, this chick just has a lot to say. She's been a doctor for a long time. I don't see any specific information on her, but basically... Okay, Mikovits was an author on a controversial 2009 study linking a retrovirus to chronic fatigue syndrome that was published in the journal Science and then retracted in late 2011 after labs were unable to replicate the results and other issues were brought to light. Same year, in September 2011, Mikovits was fired from her position as research director at the Whittemore Peterson Institute in Nevada and arrested 2 months later, after the institute alleged she stole a laptop, flash drives, and other property with institute information. Institutional? I guess not. While she claims in the documentary that she was held in jail despite being charged with nothing, a criminal complaint from November 2011 shows she was charged with 2 felonies related to stolen property, later dropped. There's no doubt a lot more here. She recently co-authored a book with self-described anti-vaxxer Kent Heckin Lively with a foreword by vaccine skeptic Robert Kennedy Jr. and has blah blah blah. Basically, this chick has so many things like that. I can't say that I know everything, but in my due diligence, which hasn't been much, she's full of shit a lot of the time, and so it's just kind of the perfect thing for people to latch onto. I don't know why people do it.
The same reason.
Granted, just because people have been scorned before and they fucked up before doesn't mean they're necessarily wrong. Does it mean I trust this bitch? No. You're probably one of the last people I would trust right now. But we're not even going to cover it all.
We're just going to go over the big.
Basically, what the documentary, I guess, covers is unfounded attacks on Fauci. There's a lot of interesting stuff with Fauci's connections to Wuhan, but granted, when someone's working in a medical capacity for the American government, they're going to have relations with other countries.
Yeah.
Like the United States goes to China to test the things they can't test here. So let's be real, folks. We haven't watched this, obviously, so we're not going to say that much more. But scientists... Novel coronavirus not manipulated. Misleading claim on Wuhan lab funding. Flu vaccines don't contain coronaviruses. No evidence flu shot increases risk of COVID-19. Why would it? Hydroxychloroquine, unproven COVID-19 therapy. There's been a whole hubbub about that ever since fucking really what it was that Trump suggested it might be something that could work. Hydroxychloroquine is basically... a medication that the mechanism is what fights malaria, and so that's basically something with the hemoglobin and the iron in your blood cells and how that's processed, I think, in the lungs. There's a cool article I have on that if you would like to see it. let me know. I'll probably forget to post it on our script, to be honest with you. There's a little bit, I guess, on wrong message on masks, and then something about false suggestion about Ebola. I don't know. That's probably something to do with the statistical comparisons people were making of this virus to Ebola.
Yeah.
In my opinion, who the fuck cares? All I know from Ebola and SARS is that the market was up 25 to 30% in the 3 months after. So here I am, hodling. If nobody gets that joke, it's a joke for holding from the internet.
It's a meme.
And maybe I completely have that wrong because I've never looked it up. That's all the time we're going to spend on that. This is factcheck.org. We have another one that's just a fact check from Reuters. Love Reuters.
Is it Reuters?
Yes. It could totally be said different. I could totally be wrong. How did you read it? Readers?
I thought it was Route.
I have no fucking idea.
Is it Riders? Routers?
How to...
Let's see. Is it going to play from there?
At least, I don't know. What's it?
Reuters.
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 That's a buzz that makes sense. I
Okay.
never stopped to consider that. They're a solid site. I always share them on my stuff. So I don't know. There probably was a lot of things that circumstantially seem great in that video, and I'm not even saying that there isn't more than that checks out, but I generally go with the masses, and I think there's a good point. Actually, that's not true at all, but when it comes to things like this, and you have a mass of scientists fact-checking stuff, and they're calling bullshit on this lady, and have been for what's over 10 years.
Yeah. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah, it's a little weird, Also, I'm a believer in the point that so many doctors and stuff aren't going to work that hard to become a part of a conspiracy.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think
Yeah,
it's
because
stupid.
then you basically lose everything that you've
just
worked for.
Occam's razor, dude. It's just simplest thing is generally the answer.
Well,
that was actually a really good cover of that. The last thing I guess we can wrap that up with is a little bit of humor, but also interesting. Bill Gates has been getting roasted for weeks, and it's basically just with his. For anybody who doesn't know, one, get out of the rock from which you live under. Two, I don't know, hop on the internet and just read some funny stuff about everybody who wants to grill Bill Gates. But basically,
he's getting grilled worse than Elon Musk is, and Elon puts himself in the spotlight.
Yeah.
Bill Gates stays out of the spotlight.
Well, so Bill Gates is an incredibly powerful person with just people. So just think about this. There's always the funny thing people say about Mac versus Windows, blah blah blah. Windows shits on Mac in the entire enterprise. Whoa! In the entire corporate American world.
Whoa!
And period. And so
Apple fanboys, come out. We need you.
Apple's sweet. I love Apple, man. People always want to make the point that they love Androids and Samsungs because they have so much free will and customization. My point is, who the fuck cares? This looks really pretty and really good, and the buttons are nice, and they look the same. No, I've had this for a minute, but okay. I mean, it just looks so nice. You guys like to change all these colors on your Samsung. I don't know who the fuck cares, dude. But I don't even know how I got to that point. But basically just that messages? He became that powerful off of Microsoft, essentially. And it's really interesting when people get so powerful because power, as you go higher and higher in society, just centralizes, right? So why the hell is Bill Gates a part of so many vaccine efforts? Maybe because few people have the funding and research capabilities and strictly financial capabilities he has. That's probably what I think it is. A lot of people get pretty conspiratorial with that. They think that he believes in New World Order, tracking individuals, which is interesting because he's very why am I blanking on this word? It's a very easy word. He's very integrated with the movement trying to, provide immunology tracking devices and stuff like that. Yeah. When you couple that with his reach computer systems wise, just period, like Windows access and that kind of stuff, it's crazy to think that he could have a database of all of this interpersonal vaccine relationship stuff, just anything about immunity cards and blah blah blah.
That's also they already have our social media data. Now he's trying to get your health data.
I think it's interesting because I don't really believe that HIPAA is that strong. nurses everywhere in every hospital take little stories home and tell people, and that shit just like spreads. Yeah. And it's interesting because if you're talking about cybersecurity, are people who are stealing health data and stuff like that going to get owned in court if they fuck up and break those rules? In the big times, in the big cases, I think most of it goes by the wayside. It's he said, she said, unless you have stuff on computers, technology being shared. Yeah, which is interesting because you think about all of the communication like that just for business that's happened on Windows hardware and software. Yeah, it's crazy to think, dude, man. I mean, that kind of power, insane. Oh man, this guy is Green Power Ranger. He's going off. Green Power Ranger 69420. We stand. Where was that last thing he said? Right there. You hear about Bill Gates handing a reporter a check and she turned it down. Then he said she would have been the richest news reporter in the world. Yeah, I just want to know more. It's interesting, man.
Yo, what's up, Jam, bro?
I was just going to say, Green Power Ranger, one of the points we have on this script is... right here, where the fuck is it? I saw this meme, or it wasn't really a meme. I mean, it was just like a graphic, and it was talking about how many people have been harmed by the polio vaccines and stuff that Bill Gates is in charge of. I find that pretty interesting. I thought I had a link, but sorry, folks, I don't think I do. It was also not really verifiable, right? I didn't want to be preaching about some bullshit. And with that, I think we're going to wrap this first one. We're going to throw this Dallas news just to kick off our next segment, just to bridge the gap a little bit. In the future, maybe we'll hit a little bit more on that Bill Gates stuff and what his actual history and track record is with vaccine stuff, because this polio, just that information I saw about the number of people and kids who were affected and or died on behalf, I don't think on behalf is the right term, but due to the polio work and stuff, I think there's something there. It's interesting how somebody that big could have things like that going on without it being reported on, though. So that's why I'm generally skeptical. But then again, there's a lot of stuff you can find on the internet, citizens journalism-wise, that you're not going to find in the big papers. And that's A, pretty disconcerting, and B, we live in a crazy world where you can kind of find some stuff on the internet and read some stuff that a lot of people haven't seen.
Ground news, baby.
And yet they still are very valuable. Yeah. Have a lot of merit. All right. We are going to change that. We're going to end this podcast episode. Part 1 is what I was saying. It was quite a bit longer than we wanted it to be, but that's fine. We had a really good one, and we've been off for a couple weeks. We're going to cut out real quick, come back to Twitch. I'm going to switch the destination file so we have the video recording, and we'll be back within like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, 2-3 minutes. We're going to come back, start the second stream. Don't go anywhere. I see you guys live on the stream. Thank you. I'm going to reshare it again on Facebook. For those on Facebook, we're going to cut it to YouTube again, and we will see you guys in just a couple minutes.
Thanks, y'all.